family, the whole, I should say, the interest of arts and music comes from my mother's side, and everybody from my mother's side have always been arts inclined, and therefore I would say that my exposure to music was the first one, because my mother is a very hardcore connoisseur of Indian classical music, and she comes from an interesting background from Satara, where our grandfather owned a cinema hall, so there's a very strong films background also in a way. So she's grown up watching films. She's grown up listening to best classical music artists. So I think that somehow has come come into my system, and therefore music is the first element which runs in our family. My mother is the homemaker of our family, but she's also one of those people who has exposed us to all kinds of music and all kinds of arts. More opened up our senses to a lot of music. My father was a metallurgist. He recently passed just a month back, and he was a metallurgist. He was a merit holder in board exams during his times. So he was one of the most intelligent chaps known, a metallurgist from COEP, and also worked as a lecturer and MTech in Mumbai from Wilson College. And thereon he was there. My parents were there in Kirloskarwadi for a lot of time, so my brother spent a lot of time there. And then from there on we moved to Baroda and Lucknow. Both are extremely socially gregarious persons. My father is very gregarious. My mother loves to attend concerts, music concerts, theatre, you name it. So even in Lucknow, in a place during early 90s and late 90s, the whole period, Lucknow is not a very safe place in the context of attending cultural programs like you would do in Mumbai today. It's a different culture altogether. During our years in Lucknow, mom would come out with her two-wheeler, Luna, and she would take me to my dance class, and we would attend concerts every Saturday or Friday, because there were these evenings called Awadh Sandhya happening in the UP Sangeet Natak Academy, which was next door building to Bharatanatyam Music College. So we have witnessed a lot of festivals, and we have seen the best of performances in Lucknow, and that has been really an amazing time which I can't forget. All kinds of artists, all styles we have witnessed in Lucknow, and that has been, I would say, a treasure which I cannot forget. So yeah, and then we later all shifted to Pune. So basically my parents have an interesting blend of culture and in the context of their taste, because even in the context of cinema, I think I was exposed to regional cinema many a times. We would watch the regional films which would be telecast on Doordarshan afternoon. Some of them were very, very interesting ones. So in the context of music and cinema also, my parents have always been open-minded, and I got to see the best, I think, in all arts. So I think they are a very liberal and open-minded lot. Very few are like that. I'm talking about 1980s, when a Maharashtrian family parents would allow their son to join a dance class. So they were not really bothered about what people would say, and I think it was very normal to them. I think it was just normal, as if your child is going for playing for cricket or badminton. And my father is an extremely workaholic person. That has come down to me. So he was working till the age of 74.
परिमल साधारण 2.5-3 वर्षाचा असेल, आणि रेडिओवर काही गाणं लागलं की त्याच्यावर तो आपोआपच नाचायला सुरू करायचा. मग त्याच्या मोठ्या भावाचं हे लक्षात आलं, तो चक्क बिस्किटाचा डबा घेऊन त्याच्यावर काहीतरी म्युझिक म्हणायचं, धुमडताम धुमडताम टिंग 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 असं काहीही, आणि त्याच्यावर परिमल अगदी परफेक्ट नाचायचं. तेव्हा मग माझ्या लक्षात आलं की ह्याला डान्समध्ये दिसतंय, म्हणून मग क्लासला वगैरे घातलं. त्यानंतरही मग त्याच्या टीचर कुचीपुडी शिकलेल्या होत्या. त्यांनी परिमल साधारण 7-8 वर्षाचा असेल त्यावेळेला परातीवर असा एक त्यांनी डान्स शिकवला होता. परिमलने तो त्या एवढ्या वयात अगदी खूप सुरेख केला होता. ऑफकोर्स आय फील व्हेरी गुड अँड आय एम प्राऊड अबाउट हिम की माझी इच्छा पण पूर्ण झाली. एक तर त्याला हे करायची, अर्थात पहिल्यांदा घातला डान्सला त्याला, त्यावेळेला काय त्याला डान्सर बनवायचं वगैरे असं काही हे नव्हतं. पण नंतर जशी त्यातली प्रोग्रेस दिसायला लागली तसं वाटलं की हा करू शकेल वगैरे. आणि अर्थातच केव्हाही छान वाटतं की मला काहीतरी करायचं होतं पण ते नाही करू शकले, पण यांनी माझी इच्छा ती पूर्ण केली. त्यामुळे आणि मुलगा असूनही तो तसा मागे राहिला नाही. म्हणजे तर त्याच्या टीचर असं म्हणल्या होत्या की 12 वर्षाचा असताना जर तो नाही हे केला, डान्समध्ये नाही शिरला, तर मग मात्र पुढे तो नाही करणार. पण बहुतेक मुलं सगळी बाकीची मुलं त्यावेळेला चिडवतात वगैरे, त्यामुळं मागे हटतात. तर याच्या बाबतीत तसं नाही झालं, कारण त्याला भयंकर अर्ज होती मनात डान्स हे करायची, पॅशन होती. त्यामुळं तो त्यात हे झालं आणि अर्थातच मला फारच छान वाटतं.
I think with my first teacher, I would say she is still to me like my like somebody I constantly look up for molding myself. Your first teacher's impressions are such because you constantly, you grow up watching each and every detail, watching each and every moment, watching each and every expression. So your first point of reference for your dance is your first guru. So even now whenever people watch my dance and they know my first teacher, they always come up to me and say, hey, these are the nuances, it's the same like your first teacher. So I think the first 15 years have been continuously, rigorously under my first guru, Ramashri Kanti Vadodara, under the Kalakshetra style. So whatever choices in terms of movement, in terms of the manner in which teaching, the way it was taught, we went through a very strict schedule of training. And I remember in terms of Anga Shuddhi and in terms of practice and in terms of discipline, my first teacher still is a hard taskmaster, and hats off to her for being what she is. So I still look up to the fact that whenever I look at my first teacher and whenever I am dancing in front of her, it is oh, I need to do this better. I need to there are a lot of expectations there. So there's a lot of discipline involved. There's a lot of grammar, and the rules of grammar have to be followed. So we went through a very hard training of Kalakshetra in the first 15 years. Of course, while I was in Lucknow, I was also exposed to the Varagood tradition, or Pandanulu tradition, Vasanthi Subramaniam and Phadke Music College. But I realized I was very much, what really influenced me was the music also, because Vasanthi Subramaniam herself is a very great singer, and she's a trained Carnatic musician. So I think my first 20 years, no, 16 years have been with a solid base of Bharatanatyam and Carnatic music with South Indian languages. So when I landed up in Pune in '98 to do my masters in under Suchita Thai's training, teaching, the first shock of my life which I get is, oh, Marathi compositions in Bharatanatyam. So it took some time for me to really understand that, and to understand that, oh, there did exist a tradition of Marathi compositions in Tanjore, and there has been research, and this is how it is. So I would say, though now I've adapted to it, I still retain a lot of the earlier 16 years of training, which is also kind of explains my affinity towards Carnatic music and towards South Indian languages. I feel much more comfortable and rather at home when I'm doing those compositions, because that is what I have grown up with. Marathi compositions I have to kind of think, because the context of those words don't come to me so easily as it comes to Maharashtrian dancers here. Which is also kind of explains certain other, answers certain other questions. That probably it is this reason that several of my questions were answered during my master's training, which, you're growing up, you investigate more about the history, you investigate more about choreography, you investigate more about the structure and their interrelationship. So I think the master's course was more about searching for these questions and searching for these answers under Sujata's teaching. It was not really about enriching the repertoire. Repertoire-wise, I think I was already pretty equipped with so many years of training. But it was more about investigation into what are the several other traditional methods of choreography, what are the different banis have been practicing. So it is interesting to know that while I did my masters under Suchata in Tanjore school, I already had an orientation of Kalakshetra and obviously to some extent Pandanatu. And after my masters, I also started learning under Dr. Jayashree Rajgopalan in Dr. Padma Subramaniam's style. And Dr. Padma Subramaniam has had a basic training in Bharatanatyam in Varavur, obviously. So it was like a full circle. I understood all the traditions of Bharatanatyam, and it came to me by God's grace that I got gurus who were from these different banis. And with Dr. Jayashree Rajgopalan, it was more about discussing Natya Shastra, more about discussing what was the Margya tradition. And that opened up several other vistas in me, because I suddenly started understanding certain aspects of music, certain aspects of dance. And I started appreciating other forms of dance much more than what I would, because I think Natya Shastra equips you with a secular vision, a vision to understand everything and appreciate everything, because it kind of encompasses everything. So this has been an interesting journey where we start from one bani and suddenly other banis get exposed to you, and you really realize the relevance of all the banis and all the languages and all the teachers. So with Dr. Jayashree Rajgopalan, it was about discussion, a lot of discussion on Natya Shastra, a lot of learning about those aspects, getting exposed to so many different kinds of musical textures within Carnatic music. With Sujata, it was about questioning and answering, and investigating into the aesthetic logic. And with my first teacher, Ramanti, it was about pushing the potential of your body and your face as much as you can. And of course, with Vasanti Subramaniam, teacher at Lucknow, it was more about music. I think I could never forget about so many things which I learned unknowingly about music, because she was an amazing singer. She's an amazing singer. One thing which I realized was that if you really need to extract good quality from students and you need to create good students, I don't believe in the group method. So one thing which I also realized that I enjoyed teaching one-on-one more than a group. It's not that I don't enjoy a group, it's interesting to do it, but if you really want to mold a good performer, the one-on-one class really works very well. And by God's grace, I have been able to produce students who have been winners in dance competitions, classical dance competitions as well, and who have done extremely well in examinations. At the same time, who are slowly flowering into very good choreographers on their own. But this has all been due to my stress that if you really want to do good in dance, you have to be alone on stage. If you want to be good in Bharatanatyam, I think it's very important you face the stage alone. You can have your friends, 5-6 friends, do a production. I mean, it's amazing for your resume, and it's amazing as an experience of dance choreography. But if you really want the essence of Bharatanatyam, it has to be only you on the stage. Then you explore the nritya in its entirety, the abhinay in its entirety, and you get the essence of what the style stands for, or how that style has evolved. So in the context of teaching, I follow a lot what I learned from my first guru about how to mold a student, how to mold the angik of the student. When it comes to abhinay, I take a lot of influences from the Tanjore school as to how to mold the sancharis and how to think about the character. The credit which I will take only would be about the choice of compositions, and that I would say has been solely mine as to what choice of composition suits that particular student and how to kind of push the potential in the context of Bharatanatyam through abhinay and nritya, through choice. I think that is very important. If you just give a staple fare to your students are not going to grow. If you want them to grow, you have to challenge the students. But before that, you need to challenge yourself as a choreographer, as a composer, and that is something which I take very seriously. I like to challenge myself in the context of Bharatanatyam choreography. I like to challenge myself in the context of Bharatanatyam composition. So, when it comes to repertoire, I have always felt that the bigger the repertoire, the better experience you have as a teacher and the better experience you give to your students in the context of performance and choreography. That is constantly there in my mind, in my subconscious, and I like to watch performances to get to know how everybody thinks about repertoire. I constantly like to upgrade myself. I think this is what I have always said to my students, that just like in technology you need to upgrade yourself, be it computers, be it your cell phone, it is very important as an artist also you need to upgrade yourself. You need to be aware of what's going on. You need to watch, you need to listen to music, you need to listen to so many musicians. So you need to keep your ears and eyes open to all of this. It is then that it finally conjures up as through your creativity, becomes one through your creativity, and you learn to give your students a different experience through these Bharatanatyam compositions, which are very, very interesting and which have great scope for interpretation. I would like to explore dance in the context of digital platform, how it works and what we can do about it, how we can explore a production on camera, how we can explore choreography, but I'm more focused on a production on camera. If I can really do that, that would be very nice. I would like to pursue writing also. If I get the leisure time to do that, I'm very keen on it. But more so, I would also like to travel. I think I missed out a lot on traveling places and learning about people. Most of learning of people has happened more because of my father's job, which was in Baroda, Lucknow, and I think I missed that part. I think I miss traveling, miss going to other cities. Of course, we do travel because of performances, but that is a different thing. That is like for a particular goal or objective. I think I would like to travel places without really goal and objective, but travel to meditate, to think, to have a conversation with yourself. If that can happen, then it's great. But going by how the schedule is, I'm not really sure when it's going to happen. But let's hope that I get that kind of a time where I get to experience people. The blue sky, eternal, deep, poetic, romantic. You can't measure it. It's endless, infinite, and that is what love is. That is what dance is, and that is what life is. It's the blue azure sky.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you to Tejdipty and thank you to DCIDR for giving this nice opportunity for artists to come closer to your audiences. There are very rare opportunities. They do come through their art form, but there is also a time when artists would want to share informally with their audiences, with their viewers, and this is a beautiful platform. So we're looking forward to other artists as well.
Thank you, sir.
So she's like the main support and everything. I don't even know what I'll do without them. I mean, that's actually kind of scary.